This is part 4 of how to be outrageously loved. Part 1 is about understanding that who you are is what the person loves. It's not what you do that the person loves, it's who you are. The summary of your parts, the culmination of everything about you. In part 2, we discussed thoughts, emotions, perceptions, narratives, etc. All of these different things are all culminations of in themselves. And in order for you to be outrageously loved, you need to build a system that manufactures over time the possibility of being loved outrageously. Very similar to how a pregnancy occurs, or how you fall asleep, or how you grow a flower. It takes a fair whack of time, similar to baking a loaf of bread in the oven. If there is a missing major component, there's going to be a massive problem in the manufacturing of outrageous love. In part 3, I talked about a major contributing factor called the extension of identity, and the reason people literally buy anything for the most part is because the thing that they're buying is an extension of their identity. You sort of see yourself in the other person, or you see yourself in the other thing. Your car is an extension of your identity, and the person you choose is an extension of your identity. The way you speak, your habits, everything you literally kind of go about in life, if you look at your own bedroom, it's an extension of your identity. It might not be a pleasant identity, but it also might be a great identity. Whatever the case, it's whatever you choose to go about doing, including the choice of your partner, that is an extension of your identity. And to be honest, it does say a lot about you. In this part 4, I'm going to be talking about something very similar to the extension of identity, and this is more along the lines of what makes something matter. What makes something matter is a very important, major contributing factor in the process of decision makings, not just in the realm of outrageous love, but just decision making in general. And I kind of wish that, like many of my previous off-screen conversations, I recorded this conversation, because this conversation was outrageously awesome. But basically, what makes something matter? Just literally ask yourself that question. When I asked myself what makes something matter, and I Googled this, Google couldn't come up with an answer. And so I had to kind of figure this out. And I'm going to give you the long story short. You can try and come to your own conclusion if you want. But my conclusion, long story short, is existence. The reason something matters, it doesn't matter what it is because it wants to exist. For example, if your ex dumps you, why does it matter to your ex that they dump you, that they get rid of you? The reason that they get rid of you is because they want to exist. And when I'm talking about them, I'm talking about the self-concept. The self-concept, the one that they're immersing themselves in, wants to exist. And here is the thing. It's about self-preservation. When we're talking about what makes something matter, we're talking about what it wants to exist. It desires to exist, which means it's a self-preserving nature. And anything that presents a threat to the narrative, anything that presents a threat to the identity, anything that presents a threat to what matters, to whatever desires to exist, it will attempt to eliminate that threat. So, for example, if you are, I suppose, an abusive, clumsy, stupid ex, let's just say that's the case, then of course, that's a threat to that partner's self-concept. That person does not see themselves being with someone abusive, and so they're going to attempt to remove themselves from the threat or eliminate the threat. In terms of physical violence, actual killings, throughout history, warfare, this is generally the case. And it kind of still is too to this day when it comes to debates. And so if you yourself want to be outrageously loved, because this is what this is really about, right? You want to make sure that you are not posing a threat, especially an existential threat, to your partner's self-concept or their narrative. Now, you could kind of sit back and say, well, you just have to be in line with your partner, aligned with them. You have to be mutually goal aligned. Well, you could also say yeah, right? But the problem with this is that everyone has outrageously different values. Things matter to different people about different things. Someone who is conservative, for example, might attract me a lot. I would really love a conservative woman. But if she's vegan, that would turn me off big time. And so I'm split between the middle. If she would try to impose her veganism on me, my self-concept would feel threatened and crushed. And so I would try to remove myself away from the veganism, right? Now, I myself, I'm a balanced person. I can appreciate some health benefits when it comes to like vegan choices, but to have that imposed on me, to have that threatened upon me, to have some type of leverage pressured against me to be vegan or to succumb to that lifestyle, it poses a threat to the self-concept of myself. This is very true in just political stuff, right? I mentioned the conservative versus like maybe liberal leftist. Leftists are, to be fair, leftists are fairly dangerous people. And when I say dangerous, I mean like mentally. Like we're having a difficult time trying to comprehend how they can dress a child that's a boy in like a girl's dress, for example. And so to me, that's existentially threatening. But my takes might be existentially threatening to their lifestyle, for example. And so, of course, they're going to do everything they can to crush their opposition. And so I suppose this is what it means to be outrageously loved, right? You understand that who you are, the summary of your parts, like this, who you are, the culmination of everything you are, is what a person actually loves. It's much like a car. You don't just love a steering wheel by itself. You don't just love a set of tires by themselves. You love the whole car, everything about the car, the way it drives, the way it feels, the way it extends your identity. You manufacture a sort of like a system where it becomes possible for you to receive love and give love, right? So, and then you also obviously don't go threatening this system that you've created. You don't go threatening the possibility of receiving your own love. You don't go self-sabotaging yourself, right? You could say that in this environment that you're providing for your own partner, you provide a safe environment, an emotionally safe environment where, most importantly, if they want to express themselves to you emotionally, you let them express themselves to you on a very deep, even dark emotional level. And this is the tricky nuance balance thing when it comes to expressing yourself, right? Because I've mentioned the extremities of different viewpoints, right? Maybe a conservative woman who's also vegan at the same time. It's like those are two different scales. I like the conservatism. I don't like the veganism, right? Now, you might have a different take on that. But one thing that we can do is, rather than lean towards extremities, is we can actually go more to a balance, sort of like this balance on the scales. And this balance on the scales, where we become more curious, we're much more non-attached to the outcome, we're much less judgmental, and we don't succumb to the fundamental attribution error, and we are just generally curious, right? We're empathetic. If we can come to understand the other party and be more balanced and remove ourselves from extremities more, then we can be more fluid in our approach to the other party. So this way, rather than having their extremities rub off on us the wrong way, we can change who we are. We can change our approach, not necessarily to suit their needs, but so that their needs aren't threatened, so that they don't feel like that you are in opposition to them, that you're not an existential threat to them. Because how can you love something that poses an existential threat to you? You will, by default, move away from that extreme pain. And if you see one of my pin videos, you will see that this is one of the major contributing factors into why a relationship will destroy itself in the first place. If the pain of being with you outweighs the pain of being away from you, what do you think is going to happen? It's so crucial that you ensure that the pain of being away from you significantly outweighs the pain of being with you. Because by default, either direction is painful, but one direction is going to be much less painful than the other. And that pain often comes from, at least one primary source of the pain is that existential threat. So what makes something matter? The fact that it must exist, and self-preservation. In order to be outrageously loved, you must not pose an existential threat to that other party's self-concept, whilst also being someone whom they see as an extension of their identity, in which you enabled to happen.